What's up, guys? Welcome back to Pete's Basement, where Steve was trapped in the box that time. Lots happened over the past 2 weeks, and right off the bat, you know the first one is Captain America.
Yes.
What do we think, boys?
It's the best comic book from Marvel right now.
Guaranteed.
Absolutely. I can't. You know, when I went to pick it up the day it came out, the line inside Midtown Comics went wrapped around inside the store twice.
Wow.
Midtown Comics is 2 floors for those who are not in the New York City area. It is a mammoth store. It was packed. They had camera crews. It was treated like fucking Jesus' bar mitzvah. It was packed to the gills.
Which I heard was well received.
Very well received at the time. They're a blue collar family. They didn't have much to celebrate with, but I heard the DJ was good, so I was happy with
And
it.
he knew what they liked. That's right.
It's a good point. This, fantastic.
I didn't want to take the chance of even going to Midtown or trying to get to the city on that Wednesday to pick it up, so I actually just went on midtowncomics.com and I ordered myself 2 copies just in case they wound up selling out. I did break my rule again, and I bought the variant cover, but I bought the variant cover because it was Alex Ross, and he doesn't do limited edition variant covers. It was a 50-50 draw. You can get whichever you please, and honestly, both covers were really good. Yeah. Epting does a really nice job with the
Jackson
suit.
Juice on the inside, man. I haven't seen him do any work in a long time, man. Him and Epting go together fucking fantastic.
It was a great ride getting there.
The artwork is fucking great. Yeah. Brubaker killed it with the fucking storyline. It's probably the best run Captain America's had since
one of the best lines I really thought was when they explained the new costume.
Yep.
When Bucky said, "No, I'm not Steve. I'll never be Steve. I'm different."
And and a good follow-up to that in the story. Spoiler alert: he kneecaps a bunch of fucking guys.
That was great.
That was kneecaps them. Not even subtle. Just shoots everybody in the kneecap.
Throws the shield, misses it. They're like, you ain't Captain. Blah!
Yeah, you gotta appreciate a guy who can kneecap with these. You know, this was a great opening. Really happy with it. Cannot wait to see where the storyline goes. But as much as this was a week for beginnings, it was also a week for endings, which leads us to
a sad point. The
end of Y, The Last Man. You know, I'm going to tell you something, perhaps not surprisingly. My wife started reading this one, thinking that somewhere in the great world of fantasy there was a utopia where people with testicles would either shut up or not exist. And this was it for her.
Well, women screwed it up as much, if not more, as men did.
So I don't know anything about Y, The Last Man.
Brian K. Vaughan put out this great, concept of, how it's all men sit around all day saying, you know, it'd be great if I was the last man on earth. How much pussy would I get then? No. Throughout this whole story, the main character, Yorick, has gotten his ass whipped left to right by every woman on the planet. Yeah. It's been a great storyline. There's not been a single arc that hasn't been accessible. And it ends on a great note. Okay, no spoilers. It's got a little bit of a Sopranos ending, but I don't think that's going to ruin it for anyone. If you just pick this up as a standalone story, it's a good science fiction story. The arc by Pierre Guerra, still very good.
That's the last issue. How many numbers are there total?
I think it's a 60-issue run. Yeah, 60-issue run.
That's not that bad,
yeah, and he's not planning to make any spin-offs. There is a movie working in the process.
And Brian K. Vaughan has gone on to, he's now writing for Lost, for all you fans out there. This is getting a look at some of the other writing from a very talented young guy. But as far as endings, we did miss an ending from a prior week.
Hold on now. Because while we bring up Messiah Complex, I still have not read it. I have all 13 issues. I'm going to read it now, but I'm going into the sensory deprivation booth to avoid any spoilers of the ending.
We don't use subtitles, so I'll just translate. He's going to go masturbate in the bathroom while looking at old issues of Wizard. We're going to refer to the rest of my Yeah, don't let him go without his ammo. Yeah. That's not fair. So, Messiah Complex. It finished its run. What are we talking?
Well, I was looking at the back. All the comics that are coming up after that, and I'm interested in them. I don't know, like you got the X-Force coming out, we got Cable, having his own series, and Professor X getting it,
I don't think it's a spoiler at this point. The news is a week old. I thought,
he got shot, but he's not dead. I mean,
he's in a coma. That's what they're going to be using That's what they're going to be using the other titles for. X-Men Legacy is going to cover him being in some kind of a fucking coma and recollecting all the old adventures and shit. Young X-Men. I don't know.
It's Young X-Men.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Some of the characters they're throwing into that look pretty fucking chump.
Yeah.
But otherwise, they actually pulled it off, man. Cyclops suddenly grew up there, and that to me almost feels like...
I noticed you mentioned that a lot.
You know what? I like Men in Tights. I'm not going to lie. It's my main draw for these comic books. Where does that donut come from? Where did that come from? How do you have
No question you should never ask.
You didn't have a donut like 5 minutes ago.
That frightens me. There's like mystery donuts. Okay. Messiah Complex, though, ended on a good note. I feel like the kid at this point was almost like a red herring. I feel like when they're talking the Messiah Complex, they were really talking about Cyclops throughout this whole thing.
Yeah.
He came out the other end a bad motherfucker, and I feel like as long as they can keep that character going and don't turn him into like Frank Miller's Batman, it'll be good. You know what I mean? When he's walking around saying like, I'm Cyclops, bitch, you know? Which
we don't want to go too far into that direction.
Yeah. I mean, I think that right now, I think it's a good lineup. It's a good fresh start. I think they've created a great jump-on point for anybody out there who wants to read any of the X titles. I think the new stuff is going to be good. I think it's got great potential.
And Marvel's finishing the event decently, unlike World War Hawk.
Yeah, you know, some people will say that they thought this ended a little bit soft. You know, I've heard that complaint.
This ended a little bit soft?
Yeah, I've heard some people saying that they thought that, you know, the way they got rid of Bishop was chump, that the whole thing with, you know, Professor X was a little light in the wrist. I thought, overall, I thought they pulled it off.
They shot in the head, didn't they? I mean,
apparently, it's not good enough. He also needed to be kicked once in the groin.
He's died before.
And, at least, well, you know, he has. He's died a million times. So at least this time they didn't pretend with that shit. You know,
but he fell further down now because he's standing. If when he was in the chair, he fell, it wasn't as bad. But now that he's standing,
when he comes out, I just want to know that he's still going to be in a wheelchair and that he's developed some sort of horrible wheelchair and a speech impediment. That will leave me satisfied. I want to hear a stutter and a lisp.
Excellent.
Me and my, I think that would be worth it. I feel like I'd be satisfied knowing that there was some consequence.
Yeah, I would have a lawyer. We have a lawyer. We wouldn't need one after this segment.
Well, one of the voices in my head, Moonlights, but that's about it. You know, while we're in the realm of X-Men, you know what? Let's call Pete back. You think he's finished? It can't take him that long to rub one out.
I don't know.
I mean, you know, the way they draw fucking Wonder Woman these days
is pretty big. I don't know.
It's a good point.
I'll go.
1981. Greece joins the European community. Margaret Thatcher reshuffles her cabinet. The first DeLorean rolls off its assembly line in Dunmurry, Northern Ireland. Ronald Reagan becomes the 40th president of these United States, and it snows in Palermo, Sicily. Chris Claremont's X-Men is the title to beat, and John Byrne's artwork is considered trend-setting for the period. Yet despite Chris Claremont and John Byrne's storytelling technique, which treated its readership like adults, DC and Marvel, the two main comic book companies at the time, continued to assume that the readership of their comic books was still children or young male adults, an unfortunate stereotype that persists to this day because most of fandom looks like this. Enter Nexus. Originally published by Capitol Comics in 1981, a little-known company based out of the Midwest, writer Mike Barron and artist Steve Rude set about creating a universe that was one part Jack Vance, one part Jack Kirby, and a whole lot of Jack Daniels. This was a comic book for adults. Following the haunted figure of Horatio Hellpop, a man living alone on a dead rock called Ilum, rotating around a dying star about 400 years from now. Hellpop is a pacifist. Unfortunately, he's a pacifist haunted by nightmares of mass murderers, whose crimes, no matter how well hidden, are known to him. The nightmares are so bad that they threaten to kill him unless he responds, by getting up, going out, and killing the people he's had these nightmares about. He is the most haunted, self-hating character I've ever encountered in comic books before or after. The fact that he is a pacifist, he's a very moral figure, but has to go out and commit horrible acts, sometimes in front of these people's families, breaks him apart. The comic book opens with him living on this rock, surrounded by a cult of the people he has saved, and yet he still wants nothing to do with them, because while they worship him, he recognizes that he's no better than the people that he has killed himself. He is presented as having almost limitless power, no idea where they came from, and these nightmares just assail him constantly. And as a pacifist, he has to live with the fact that his first victim was in fact his own father. Steve Rude is a student of the Alex Toth School of Illustration. He is very, very much inspired by the sort of Hanna-Barbera aesthetic, Space Ghost. So the whole comic book has this very cartoonish, innocent aesthetic. And while it's obvious I like Steve Rude's artwork, I obviously glow with fucking fanboy pride over Mike Barron's writing, which had some great original concepts, whether it's using these severed heads as sources of power, and then, or the Gucci Assassins Guild, or the modern Luddites over in the Cult of Elvon. And I'm not going to lie, these all sound really dorky, but they're these just great concepts that just keep recurring throughout it and clearly plumb the depths to come up with this stuff.
mass murderers as pop icons, sort of like a Cold War going on, which he obviously drew from the 80s when this was written in, and he made it all very believable and very accessible, and it was just great stuff, and Steve Rude managed to translate that stuff beautifully through his artwork. And you are in luck, because all these old stories, which are now at this point 25 years old, have been recollected by Dark Horse Comics. They're not cheap, but I can't recommend them enough. Nexus was and continues to be one of my favorite comic book properties. Mike Barron went on to relaunch The Flash after Crisis on Infinite Earths. He had a great long run. From there he went on to Marvel with The Punisher. Did some really great memorable work, and then he disappeared for a while. He has since popped up on the indie side, writing a title called The Detonator, which came and went very quickly. But he has returned to the property Nexus and has done a couple of limited series over at Dark Horse. Steve Rude has popped up doing the graphic novel Superman vs. Hulk. His style is still great, unchanged. He did his own indie series, The Moths, and the two of them are going to collaborate, bringing the Nexus property to their own independent studio at some point in the near future. Once again, I cannot recommend this title enough, and I look forward to getting your input via email, questions@petesbasement.com regarding this or any other titles that you think that we should address. I'll be back next time telling you more about a comic book that you may never have heard of, but that you should have.
So, where they go? I don't know. There they are.
Less time than usual.
Yeah, pretty quick, man.
It's easy when you concentrate.
Why do we have to shake his hand? Ew! Ew!
I already ate the donut.
So what's next?
So moving out of Masai Complex, we have what I'm referring to happily as the Avengers block, which is, well, we can start with Avengers Initiative, make our happy way through.
Always a happiness.
Always, yeah.
So, Avengers Initiative is all about continuity. The writer Dan Slott has done a really good job of making sure that the whole universe he's created is coherent and it works with the outside world.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I'm sure we picked up that habit.
Well, spoiler alert, I mean...
We got a scroll.
Literally, well, there's a scroll that gets... There's a reveal for a scroll in the Initiative.
Crusader.
And even better, I think most of the cast gets butchered in this issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, Trauma gets killed. Most of the trainees get killed.
Thor Girl,
who wins for like top 10 chump character name in the entire.
Yeah,
entire
Wasn't she Valkyrie?
And I'm a,
no, she's Thor Girl. She's Thor Girl.
There was a Valkyrie in there.
It's a long story. It's a horrible long story.
But
we all talked over each other like that.
It's still a good book, though.
It's still a really good book. I'm now actually more interested to see where it goes. Apparently,
now he's going after Gauntlet.
Yeah, which ought to be really good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Isn't he still in the hospital?
No,
not at the end of this issue. At the end of this issue,
load up.
And I'll tell you this: Taskmaster continues to be one of my top 10 favorite douchebag characters.
Seriously,
I have a top 10. He's right now like number 8. I'm very much enjoying his douchebaggery.
Yeah, there's a part in there where Taskmaster is talking to MVP, well, MVP anymore, but
KIA.
KIA. And he's like, do you have a problem with me? And KIA is like, no. He's like, very well. And he walks in.
Yeah, he just drops his shit and walks off. It's still a great series. I still think this is one of Marvel's sleepers. It still reads great. The artwork's really good. The characters are good, with the exception of Thor Girl. But I don't think she's going to be a fucking prop anymore.
Like somebody answered.
Yeah, I say pick it up. It's only up to level issue 9.
Yeah.
So
you definitely get the first arc in a graphic novel.
If they do a collection, it's worth it. I think that Dan Slott is still one of the writers to watch. He still knows how to wrap up a good storyline, keep the continuity moving, which is more than I can say for our dear friend Brian Michael Bendis in this week's New Avengers Annual.
What happened here?
He basically wraps up the Hood storyline that he actually had running in the New Avengers, and then just sort of let
fall to the side. And
he's been in mentioned in every Marvel comic running around. He was mentioned in Daredevil, and I believe he even makes an appearance in at the end of issue 104 out this week.
The Hood's another one of these characters that they can't quite figure out how to work out. You know what I mean? Because they got the Kingpin, they got all the, they got this whole, cast of villains that they keep reusing as icons and linchpins and shit. And the Hood's a great character. you know, I see where Brian Bendis was trying to work him in, but you know,
I like the direction they were going with him kind of trying to get this whole Legion of Doom type, like they were doing in Justice League, collect all the villains together.
This was anticlimactic.
Society.
This was really fucking anticlimactic, and the fact that they literally just pull it out like about 2/3 in. Spoiler alert! Fucking Doctor Strange just comes out and whacks everybody. That was it.
Even the hero
ices them.
Just comes out and he just does some ridiculous abracadabra.
Marvel once again resorts to magic as a solve all.
You know, here's my thing. Yeah, and on top of that, I'll tell you something. You know, I'm getting really fucking tired of. It's like the New Avengers and Mighty Avengers run into each other all the time, and the Mighty Avengers are always like, "Well, we're supposed to rescue, but
okay, bye.
Bye. I'll see you later." You know what I mean? It's you know.
I'm coming to have a sandwich instead.
Well, you know, at this point, New Avengers lineup is about as fucking diesel as your average preschool kickball team. And, you know, it's like a deaf fucking ninja, a Hawkeye with a fucking pair of nunchucks, Iron. You know, it's a weak lineup, even with like Wolverine, Luke Cage.
But these are all characters that do well on their own, and they just, I don't know, to be in an environment like that without a natural leader like either Captain America or Iron Man.
I'm going to say this.
Thor.
Well, there is no leader.
There's no leader anymore. You know, it's
Doctor Strange just quit.
Yeah, I mean, this issue wraps up a lot of stuff. But I'm going to tell you something. If you don't pick this up and you pick up the next issue of New Avengers, it's like there's a big fucking tooth missing in your smile. It's a bad setup. I still have no fucking idea why Spider-Man is wearing his black costume. I have no idea how Brand New Day fits into this whole fucking scheme of things.
This is Brand New Day.
You know, it's dreadful. It's a brand new day. It's just pretty dreadful. I mean, the artwork isn't.
I guess it'll pick itself up in the next story arc.
Yeah, when they add fucking Howard the Duck to the lineup, which would be equally satisfying. You know, but I will tell you what did win was the Mighty Avengers this week.
Yes.
Which surprised the shit out of me. Surprised the shit out of me. It was actually good. And he wrapped his storyline up in one issue.
Nice.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
You can never go wrong with Mark Bagley drawing anything, either.
No. It led into the paranoia of Secret Invasion, the Skrulls.
It's going to lead into
that was sweet.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in here that makes me want to pick up the next issue. I got this on your guys' advice. I told myself if I picked up another fucking Brian Michael Bendis comic book, I was going to stab myself to death with it.
So blame us, right?
Yeah, well, no, I don't regret picking this up. It was good.
No, I'm not. He's still here, so obviously didn't commit suicide.
I have bandaging across most of my torso, but otherwise I'm alright. Yeah, Mark Bagley could draw fucking anything. This is actually his last title before he moves over to DC.
You know, I don't remember who thought up this concept of how Iron Man is inside of the suit, but I think it's a great idea that he sees everything. It's like a TV.
Yeah, you know,
he is the suit.
I think that there's a lot of good stuff that they got going on in this. These are the heavy hitters of the Marvel Universe.
Now, apparently.
Apparently these days. You
know, this lineup could get better, too. I think Sentry's really got to go. I just can't stand it.
I'm really hoping during Secret Invasion they whack his ass. But, you know, but overall, I think that the Avengers have been turned into a real good flagship property for Marvel. They were sagging for a long time.
Disassembled.
Yeah, and then they did the House of M bullshit and all this other stuff. I think they've really reinvigorated. I'm really looking forward to the stuff they're putting out. Bendis is hit or miss on team books.
Right. Speaking of good team books at this point, you really can't go wrong with the previous run of Fantastic Four.
You know, I disagree with you.
Do you really? You didn't like the future storyline?
You know, like I told you, Gwen McDuffie usually hits it out of the park for me. This was, you know, it was a canned, you know, we're talking about issue 553 of Fantastic Four. I thought it was a canned issue. It's the last issue of his run before Mark Miller takes over.
And Greg Land,
which I'm looking forward to.
Absolutely. They did great work on Ultimate Fantastic Four. Can't wait for
and Mark Miller, you know, I think a lot of his Fantastic Four run was canned. I thought it was like, you know, there was a lot of stuff that was just being pulled out of the box. I liked it when he was writing the new Fantastic Four stuff with Storm and Black Panther.
I didn't like that at all.
See, I did. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was a nice new twist, man. It gave him his own little flavor on the title. Listen, I'll tell you something. In my opinion, if they really want to do something interesting, they would take a lot of these characters that they're trying to push into the spotlight and put them into the new Avengers titles or something like that. Like the Avengers or the Defenders.
I agree with that.
Something, because there was a lot of fucking potential there. I thought McDuffie could have done more.
It was a simple story arc. It was something you might have caught back when Stan Lee was writing in the 60s. There wasn't a lot of drama to it. It was a simple 3-issue arc. 3 or 4? 3, I think.
No, like 4.
I'm just not a fan of time travel.
No, it does get really convoluted, and it will never come together until.
And like I said, I expect more from Dwayne McDuffie only because he's a really, really good fucking writer. He comes up with good stuff. This wasn't nearly as imaginative as I hoped.
Is this the one?
Yeah, you know what? Either that goes or I do, kids.
Yeah, no, we're gonna do. What do you think? We're gonna do it. We're gonna talk about this last part of Brand New Day. Adam,
I say 5 feet.
No,
3.
like 10 probably.
Not bad.
That's a good 12.
I'll give you points on that. 12 points. You beat the spread.
Brand new day. Enough said.
Yeah.
Let's go to DC.
DC has managed to trump the I'm Donna Troy bitch with the latest issue of Countdown, which at this point is going to get a regular feature on our show, which is worst line of any comic book ever.
And this week's was
I'm going to kill you to death. I'm paraphrasing, trying to make it sound better than it is. It's not. It's really.
Didn't they use that same line in Hot Shots? I will kill you till you die.
I'm reasonably certain that somewhere in Brooklyn there's a retarded kindergarten child who has said that to their parents at least once.
Why are you setting fire? I don't appreciate the Brooklyn marks.
You know what? It's every time you think Countdown's going to hit a new low, they trump you. You know what I mean? It's really bad. It's like the high school slut. You find out maybe she slept with the team basketball players once. No, she took on the whole team, not just the captain. That's kind of what I feel like every time I pick up Countdown, kissing that girl.
That's a lot to take in.
That's a lot to take in. Suddenly I feel like I've relived my entire high school career just in one sitting. Pete's
those kind of cold sores on your lip.
Yeah,
I'm crying inside.
Yeah.
You should be.
But, you know, what they are getting right is Green Lantern.
Yeah, it wasn't a big epic issue, but it was a nice builder up towards what's going on in the universe.
Yeah, it's not, this wasn't a must-see issue, but it was good, and they're still building off it, and I still think Jeff Johns should be doing this as a series on HBO.
Speaking of Jeff Johns,
Action Comics.
New Action Comics still coming together.
Definitely winning.
Yeah.
It's a typical sort of storyline, but he's got, Jeff Johns has got a great appreciation for the characters. It's another one of these time travel storylines that doesn't
quite conclude next month. You can probably still get these on the shelf. Highly recommend.
And the artwork is great stuff. Gary Frank is great. His Superman looks. He's definitely channeling his Christopher Reeves in this one, man. He's a little,
and I can't be any more happy with that. Christopher Reeves will always be the definitive Superman in my book.
And the character, and the characterization is great, man. I definitely recommend Action Comics. This one I got no grasp on. Go for yours.
All right. You really didn't like this? You picked it up?
I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan of the Superman Batman stuff.
Loved it.
Fight with Aquaman.
I loved it. I mean, Superman and Batman.
Aquaman can always be a jerk too.
Always a jerk, no matter who he is. And this is a different, younger Aquaman. But
in the water, I'd be a jerk.
Superman and Batman finally decides to clean up the world of kryptonite.
With sunlight.
And what surprises me is why would Batman allow that? Because that would only make Superman more invincible.
It's true, because he does get his moments where he had the ring and all, and you shouldn't do this. Batman kind of has that holier-than-thou attitude, especially when it comes to Superman.
I just love him. I love Batman.
Batman has that attitude when it comes to all villains.
Yeah. He has a plan for
Do you remember the Tower of Babel storyline back in mid-JLA issues?
That was Grant Morrison.
Oh, that was great.
More like a Tower of Babel.
That was fantastic. That was a great storyline where Ra's al Ghul actually took all of Batman's fail-safes. Yeah. That was like a precursor to that whole Infinite Crisis thing, too, with Brother Eye and shit. That was really good.
Well, everybody likes writing Batman as this sort of omniscient asshole. Like, he knows everything about everybody and is never going to let you live it down. Because there's a theory. You give Batman enough fucking prep time, he will be able to take down anybody.
Yeah,
which is cool, but at the same time, then you kind of wonder. It's like, well, he's got a little bit of time on his hands. Why isn't he fucking mapped out how to take it? You know what I mean? Like, how hasn't he figured out how to, take down Lex Luthor?
The big ones, yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, if he's such a fucking mega genius, why isn't he square rooted that shit out?
Well, now all of these guys, if you're picking up the current JLA issue of, I think it's something like number 16 or 17, all of the major villains in the DC universe are being picked up by the government.
Right.
And Amanda Waller.
Which is another
we don't even know what they're doing with it.
The government can't figure out my fucking taxes, but apparently they can go up and round these guys up, whereas fucking Batman can't. You know what I mean? It's a little
ridiculous.
Again, it's bad writing.
That's going to be a good fight, actually. Next issue of JLA is going to be the Justice League versus the Suicide Squad.
I'm going to pick that up because I'm a Suicide Squad fan from back in the day. John Ostrander wrote the shit out of that.
I like Deadshot. I like him a lot, actually. I don't really know who's still on that team. Is that the Villains United team from Infinite Crisis?
A whole different book. Villains United was a great book. And
I thought so. That was one of the good things out of Infinite Crisis.
One of 4. But moving out of the established universes, we got stuff, because you mentioned you're an Alex Ross fan.
Yes.
The 0 issue of the Superpowers project, which is Alex Ross and Jim Kruger. Jim Kruger wrote, Earth X, Universe X for Marvel a while ago, which was their answer to Kingdom Come.
Kingdom Kingdom comes out first.
I'll put it to you like this: Alex Ross and Jim Krueger are really. It seems like they've run out of fucking ideas.
Yeah.
The concept for this.
Bingo.
The concept for this, it's all public licensed characters, stuff that has been used by Alan Moore for.
Kind of like the 12. The 12.
It's very much like the 12 insofar as it's a bunch of characters no one's heard of or used for a long time.
Well, they just don't have nearly enough variant covers on this one.
Yeah, they've got like 14 of them. Mike Turner, Alex Ross,
and then
the
the negative covers.
Yeah.
What's with that? That's like a recent thing I think I've been seeing. It's disgusting negative covers. Come
on.
Sketch covers weren't enough. You have to have some
covers when you rip it out of the book.
I hated sketch covers. If I'm going to pay extra money for a cover, I want to see color on the goddamn thing. Draw my fucking self.
You know, there's a big trend right now for people. It's like the old, you know, rather than invent new characters, let's reimagine really old ones. Alan Moore did it with his whole Terra Obscura line that I think dropped on Image for a while, using these characters actually. But since they're public licensed, anyone can use them. So Jim Krueger and Alex Ross have taken them and. Really, you know, the artwork isn't bad per se. These are all Alex Ross designs. It's an Alex Ross cover.
He's what, the art director in this?
Yeah,
this isn't his work on the
right. So he, from what I understand, he did layouts on a bunch of this stuff. But it's really, to cut to the chase, it reads like Kingdom Come. It's the exact same fucking setup for the story.
That was his
there's some big disaster coming. You know, an old guy has to come along and you know lead all these heroes back together. It's weak, man. It's just very weak. I'm not.
But these aren't established heroes. This is people who made the fuck up.
Yeah, these are all guys who existed back in like the 30s and 40s.
But see, the good thing about the 12 is those guys actually did exist in the 30s and 40s.
Well, these guys did too. These guys did too. You know, they were. You know, that's why they're public licensed characters now. Is that the copyright ran out. But the Marvel stuff that they're doing with the 12 is actually interesting. They're incorporating them into the mainstream universe. They picked a really interesting time to do it, and it's written well. This is pretty fucking lame, I felt. Like, it's just, you know, the whole setup is just real rehashed.
But it's $1.
But it's $1.
Is it going to stay $1 all 12 issues?
I don't know. No. That's a good question.
There's $12 in it.
No, it'll pop up.
They have a character called the Green Llama.
Yeah, they do.
Does he spit at people?
No, he's Buddhist.
Bad. He's Buddhist. You got something against Buddhists?
Yeah,
no.
Buddhist.
I hate everybody pretty equally.
All right, so that's fair. That's
Green Buddhist?
The Green Buddhist. Right, yeah, well, I feel good about that.
So is Dolly a color since he's a llama too?
I'm going to walk out on this in like 10 seconds. But that about wrapped it up for all the major stuff that was out this week in our opinions. But you know what? You have your opinions too. And you are more than welcome to let us know at Pete'sBasement.com. Our forums are up, as well as your ability to pick up old episodes. You can subscribe to us on Miro, M-I-R-O, iTunes.
That's pretty much it, I think.
So. MySpace page is up and running.
MySpace, yes. Pete's Basement, / no, it's MySpace.com/Basement. And you can reach us out to us directly at questions at Pete'sBasement.com.
You send us the questions, we'll give you a shout out.
Yeah.
Let us know, maybe.
No, see you next week.
Yeah.
How we break it through song. Time is on my.
What if we speed it all up and do a Micro Machines episode?
I like that idea.
Here, wait.
It's not gonna work!
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh, it smells green.
You need the other one.
Oh, but you know, it's kind of warm and wet in here, and they want to stick around.
Nobody's Patriots fan here, right?
I didn't buy this in the store.
Yeah. Where's my cocaine? I asked specifically for Bolivian.
Oh, we got an issue. Somebody get out of his cocaine.
Focus on Pete.
Basically, call myself a white shark.
Oh, wow.
No funny comment to start us out with that.
What happened?
Oh, well.
I'm shy! Don't judge me! Alright, let's go before we get done. It is possible.
That's a good line. I like that.
Here's for Bolivian! And I wanted a venti soy chai latte. Why can't we get this right, people? Have Dave's testicles lopped off now!
What? No.